And we're back with GameSpot's Indie Mix live stream. I'm Michael Heim again, in case you are just tuning in. I am joined by Cyril and Arnaud from .mu, and we're going to be playing some Dark Devotion. Now, this game is going to be a little bit heavy on the thematically and gameplay-wise. I know you were giving me the rundown on what exactly this is. So for all the folks out there, can you repeat yourself? My bad. Sure. I didn't mean to have you walk me through the entire thing, just to have you say it again. But yeah, tell me about Dark Devotion.
In Dark Devotion, so as you can see on the screen, it's not a roguelike, it's not a Metroidvania. It's an action RPG. So you play that Templar, which is sent to that temple in a sacred mission, basically. Religion is really important in Dark Devotion, both for the scenario, but as well on the gameplay. There's a lot of mechanics going on for the religion part of the game. So you're sent in this temple, for that sacred mission, which is basically save your god. You don't really know at the beginning of the game what is exactly the temple, what is exactly your mission.
Your place in the world is kind of something you unravel as you progress.
Effectively, it's really secretive, and there's a big lore in the game. But it's not given to you. It's not easy to have access to that lore. But everything in the weapons description, you can find clues pretty much everywhere in the game about what is going on, basically.
So, all right, all of you out there, I know y'all are gonna want to kill me for making this comparison. You said it yourself, though, is a lot of inspiration from Dark Souls.
Yeah, it's interesting because the team developing the game, so the game is made by Iberian Workshop. It's a French, young French studio. And what's interesting is that when they started working on the project, none of them have played Dark Souls. And the Dark Souls, So afterwards, when everybody told them, your game really looks like Dark Souls, they tried actually the game and they were like, okay, effectively, apparently it looks like Dark Souls. But of course, there's in the ambiance, how would you say that in English? In the atmosphere.
The ambience and atmosphere.
The religious aspect as well.
Yeah, because you were talking about how, like, thematically, it's about like religion, and there's a lot of like different sects of these religious, I don't want to say cults, but like they're all like vying.
It's basically two cults.
So
yours and the others, so it's a bit complicated to explain everything.
It's a bit mysterious, actually. Throughout the game, you'll unveil some aspects of the lore as you progress through the game. It's not, it's kind of implicit, so you have to discover through the game. The lore can even be hidden in the weapons and stuff like that.
So that was thinking about, that's how Dark Souls kind of communicates a lot of its lore. So I mean, making it's a fair comparison to make. But also in the gameplay, I noticed that it's not like, when I look at 2D side-scrolling games, I almost like, at this point I think of like Dead Cells and how fast that game moves, but here it's more slow and deliberate, where it's a lot more like a traditional action RPG, where I have to think about like moves and like, okay, this move is gonna be like a bunch of frames, so like I better time it right.
Nothing is free in that game. You have to make all decisions, and you have to be sure
and
of
you have to
decision.
live with it.
And you have to commit. If you want to do a sword attack, you have to commit to it. If you're not sure, you're gonna die. And you're gonna die a lot in Dark Devotion.
That's kind of what I noticed here too, is that the slower.
We're not dying because I'm good, obviously. But I'll try to beat the boss a bit later, but
No, I actually had the conversation with the developer from Noita, or doing Noita, and then I was talking about like, hey, you gotta show up, like this is your own game, you gotta be good at it. He was perfectly fine though, wonderful fella.
We're only publishers, so we have the right to be.
You have an out. You have an out.
But the devs are really good.
So Hibernia, the developer, Can you speak a little bit more about who they are, what they do? Because you were talking about it a little bit earlier.
It's a 3-people studio, so it's a French studio. They're 25-ish years old. They actually don't have video game studios. So there's one that did a diploma in what's his diploma actually? He has a master's degree in biochemistry.
Okay,
So
all right.
why not? Another one did sociology, and I don't remember the third one, but I mean, it's really
self-taught.
Yeah,
developers.
It's really self-taught.
It's very like the spirit of like an independent game.
Yeah, definitely. We revealed we did 3 dev diaries for for the game, and on the third one they talked a little bit more about their background and what they did, and it's interesting to see how without that knowledge of making video games just by patience as well, you can make something really great such as this one. And
you're not tied. I imagine that coming into that they're not tied to the conventions they may have learned in the past or something. So I imagine it's going to be like a rough process, but what they will get out of it eventually, as we can see here, is going to be something kind of unique and a little bit more. I don't know, it has that spirit of like an independent game, I guess you could say. So the dev diaries, where can you find those?
On YouTube, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Dog Devotion Dev Diary.
Okay, yeah, I'd be definitely interested in checking that out.
And it's interesting because those guys tell us also that that's a boss, the executioner. So we'll try to kill it.
I have the worst weapons. I wanted to show them, but I'm not
we got some spells here.
So yeah, maybe you can talk a bit about the games while you try to beat the boss.
Yeah, that's a perfect idea. Thank you, Arno. So yeah, basically, what I love about this game is that the content is super rich. You have tons of different weapons, and each weapon has its own fighting style. For example, right here, I have a spear, and normally, for example, with a sword and shield, I can block attacks, but with the spear, I can just dodge really quick, so I can get away from the enemy and then try to pierce him with the. But with different, and also there's like a different range according to weapons. There is also magic. So here I have a book that enables me to throw fireballs thanks to my faith. So you have a lot of different mechanics for combat, and it's super interesting. The bosses are really well designed as well. You can see that this guy, once I get half of his life, he
changes his moveset, right?
He gets faster.
Yeah.
The music changes as well. You have more than 25 bosses in the game, and they're all super well designed. It's a real pleasure to discover them and try to understand how to beat them. I'm almost done right there. In the game, you have a lot of different systems as well, like the skills. For example, when you kill an enemy, you're granted some faith from your god. There is the regular phase that enables you to open chests, open doors, get blessings, and stuff like that. But you also have the corrupted faith, which enables you to unlock certain skills. You have a lot of different skills that goes from the classic, like increasing your critical hit ratio, to like creating lightning bolts when you attack with a sword or stuff like that. So you have to discover all these different skills. Every time you die, you get back to the hub. This is the demo, so basically it's not the regular game. It's just to show different parts of the game. But basically when you die, you go back to the hub. You can choose new skills. Also during the game, you can drop some blueprints for weapons. So you definitely unlock some new possibilities each time you start a new run. And yeah, what else? You also have quests that are given to you at the shelter where you spawn when you die. Those quests enable you to again unlock different objects, different skills. So basically, there's a lot to do in Dark Devotion, a lot to explore. Everything is level designed. So
it's not procedurally generated.
Exactly. So basically. There are different paths, so everything is level designed, but every time you die you have different choices. You can try again the same run you just did because you learned about it and you learn about the different enemies, their patterns and stuff like that, or you can choose a new one that you unlock during your first pass, for example. But the cool thing also in the game is that every time you change a room, you can't go back.
Yeah.
So your only option is to go further, basically.
Okay. So in a way, it's like you said, it's not procedurally generated, but in a way, these are like different stages to a much larger world.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can finish the game once and redo the game another time and play a really completely different path.
Yeah. So it's like branching paths.
Yeah. With other bosses, with other fights, other enemies, other weapons. The game is really super generous. So there's all that.
Oh, in terms of like punishment from like dying or.
In terms of just content, you know, there's a ton of bosses,
okay, right.
there's a ton of weapons, tons of spells, tons of secrets, and tons of mechanic as well. So he talked a little bit about the faith. So like I said earlier, religion is really an important part of the game.
Thanks.
Yeah, it makes me...
I'll concentrate and try to
the result was exactly the same. So yeah, I mean you can still
we'll get through it.
Well,
we got time.
I talked at the beginning.
But
third time's a charm. We got time.
Sure. You're the only one believing that. But yeah, religion is really important. So there's that faith that he talked about, so that you can unlock some stuff with it. But there's also that kind of rewarding mechanics. So what's the name in English? Your god, depending on the way you play, your god can reward you or he can punish you.
Oh,
he can punish you. So with a benediction, blessing and curses, right?
All right. So would those play as like stat buffs and debuffs or? Different abilities that kind of give and take.
Yeah.
Like
if your god doesn't like the way you play, he can punish you.
Damn.
He can punish you. So
that's cold.
Yeah. But if he likes the way if he likes your devotion, he will reward you, and it's going to be easier for you.
So how does that actually like factor in, like in terms of as a player? How do I know that that's happening? There's like indications in the stats, or is it like story based?
There's an effect on your character that you can see a special effect on your character when that happens. I think a bit earlier you got cursed while fighting the boss.
In the exploration phase,
Okay.
So yeah, you'll be aware because you can be slower, for example. That's something that can happen, or you can be poisoned as well.
Yeah.
Just depending on what you did, and yeah, in terms of content, like we said, there's a lot of bosses, a lot of weapons, and it's really interesting because it's not a roguelike, so it's not run based, but still, like I said earlier, you can replay the game. There's a really great replayability, and of course you'll die a lot, so that's also a good part of that replayability.
Yeah.
But I mean, when you kill a boss, you're really happy about it. I mean, you deserve your win, and that's why every decision it's important. But when you make the right ones, you're really happy.
It's rewarding,
yourself.
right? Yeah.
It's really
you get that dodge at the last minute.
Yep.
No! Oh, you're so close, man. Man, that last phase is like tough because he can teleport like 2 or 3 times, and like you don't know when he's gonna like stop and actually attack.
But I can do way better. And also, like this is demo, so you don't have the best stuff at the beginning.
Okay.
You should open the chest first because but when you arrive at the boss the first time, usually you have pretty good stuff because you did the whole exploration phase where you get your stuff.
Yeah. So you have more time to like build up your character.
Exactly.
Whereas here you're working with like the bare minimum.
Exactly. Still, it's doable.
If you were that close to like using the bare minimum, you know.
But yeah, so basically the good thing is like you do a whole run, then you discover a boss. Usually you die because like except if you
have to
really
learn
good.
first.
The thing is like the way it's level design and game design. It's like there's no place for randomness. You can only blame yourself if you don't manage to beat a boss.
Yeah.
So it's doable. I mean, like some of guys at our QA department, they managed to beat the game with like just like the worst weapons in the game. You know, just to try it, and it works, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, basically you learn through your explorations of the temple. You discover lore, you discover new techniques, you discover new weapons. And then when you die, you say, okay, so this boss was pretty quick, so maybe I should use a shield and a sword to beat him. This boss was slow, so maybe I can have him quicker with a double-handed sword and stuff like that. So there's a whole strategic thinking every time you die of like which skills I'm gonna use, which weapons I'm gonna use, and why. Yeah. And you have really this sensation of being more and more powerful through each run because your weapons get better. Your skills get better, and your overall actual skills, like with the game, your reflexes and stuff, they get better and better. So it's really enjoyable. Again, like the bosses are very diverse. You have all types of bosses. They're quite impressive. My hands are sweating right now. It's not the first time I played this game from far, but it's always a bit stressing because it's like
I suck.
You see? You suck.
It's all right, man. It's all right. We're not judging here. You know?
You had three tries.
Yes.
So let me.
So yeah, I mean that's again like when we started to see the game, to play with Hibernian. There was already a lot of depth in the game, but now the way we've improved, we did a lot of playtests, we did a lot of back and forth, and we came up to a final version that we have now, which is very nice, very great to play and discover all the way. The lore has been inspired by the Romantic era and also by Edgar Allan Poe.
Yeah, I can see that.
So the universe is pretty cool. It's very dark. You always feel threatened by something. There are lots of traps in the game as well that you need to learn. And there was one earlier in your exploration phase.
Yeah, other than like enemies, like how during exploration, like how much more challenging does it get?
Exactly.
Oh boy.
And so you don't have a lot of lives usually. You have life points. You can see above. So the red is your life points, and above it the shields are your armor points.
Yeah, I'm gonna die.
And yeah, basically, so right now Arno has only like 4, 5, 6 hits, and now he just has 1 left.
Oh, okay, so yeah, you're limited in terms of like blocking, dodging, and swinging.
So basically, when you explore, you're always like this tension, because when you lose 1 hit and you don't know how long it's going to be until the next boss, so you're always very cautious about what you do on the first run at least. Then after the 5th, 7th run, then it's easier. You know where to go, you know what's up. But when it's the first time you explore some region, it's so often dark. Sometimes you need to use some.
You got to use up a hand to use a torch or something.
Exactly.
And
to see around
I don't
you,
have a shield.
And it's super scary, and there's always this tension because you don't want to face a boss with only 1 life point, you know. So there's always a tension, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, high difficulty in games has kind of been I guess. I wouldn't say recent trend, but like it's gone in vogue big time. Yeah. So obviously, like judging from here, this game leans on difficulty being a big factor.
It leans on really learning how to play the game, getting your reflexes right. But once you get them, I suck at Dark Souls, really.
Okay. I can say the same.
And so when I started to play the game, I love the universe and I love RPGs. So that's really why also we wanted to work on that game. But I started to say, okay, I need to pass beyond like the difficulty.
Yeah.
And as it's 2D, it's a bit easier to master as 3D because you have less dimensions you have less possibilities to handle.
Right.
So it's more about like reflexes and dexterity. But once you get it straight, then it's easy. You know what to do. You know where to go. So it's challenging. It's not often frustrating. You know, the way it was designed. So yeah, difficulty in that game is kind of high, but also this is a demo, so you start right away with the boss.
Yeah, again, like
on the exploration phase, you can see that I didn't get hit a lot because I know how to play the game as well. But yeah, the beginning is really tough, but it's nice as well because it's flawless. You know, like you start again at the shelter, you have new weapons, you want to try them, so you do a new run. During your new run, you unlock new stuff as well. So it's always renewed and a renewed experience. There is some randomization of the items you can get in chests with enemies and stuff like that. So the runs are never the same, and there is always a new door, a secret room that you never discovered that will enable you to even get more powerful and beat this run with more easily.
Yeah.
But the difficulty curve, there are 4 different worlds in the game. Each time you enter a new world, it's like, wow, okay, so it's a new level. But it goes step by step, and it's nice because it's always challenging. It's never like at some point like, okay, I got the game, it's over, like I can beat it all the way. It's always a bit more challenging, always a bit different as well.
Yeah, always new enemies, new different types of traps, I guess.
Exactly, new weapons, so you learn new styles. For example, some enemies with sword and shield, they're like little goblins that are really weird, and they're super fast. So with sword and shield, it's not very efficient. The most efficient is the double dagger, and you're super fast and you go around them. So if you do a run and you know that you're gonna encounter those guys, you say, okay, I'm gonna equip before going with that weapon and try to drop other weapons of different style in order to be ready when I encounter these. So every time you die, there's a kind of a preparation ritual where you go to see the weaponsmith, you go to see the guy from the quest, you get to see different characters from the game that will give you hints about the lore and about how the game goes and stuff like that.
Cool. I think this will be our last attempt.
Yeah.
Since we are.
And I'm gonna die.
Hey man, you can do it.
Yeah. Okay.
But I'm sure the folks back there in the control room, my coworkers, my boys, would be okay with going over time a little bit if we can beat this boss here.
So much pressure.
Oh, hey man.
It's not gonna happen. You pressured me too much now.
I'm sorry.
It's over.
My bad, dude.
When he's in the second phase, use the shield. That's the best. That's the best tactic for this boss.
I usually can beat him pretty easily, but.
Oh man, my boy Eric Tay down there in the control room too loves these styles of games. So I want to hear what he has to say once we are in the transition phase of this live stream, because yeah, he loves his Dark Souls, Bloodborne type games.
Yeah, that's so satisfying when you beat a boss.
Yeah.
Like, this one is pretty challenging. That's not the first one.
Wait, is this the first boss in the game? Oh, okay. I was about to say, like, it's a hell of an introduction to boss
The first
fights.
boss is way easier.
Okay.
The first boss is actually attached to a wall, so it doesn't move. So when you get close, it tries to hit you. During the first phase. On the second phase, he basically like rips his arm off the wall, and then he moves around and like chases you.
Yeah, so I imagine like I mean, it's more or less like you can do a lot of creative things with pixel art. So and just
my devotion has faded once again.
Oh man, well, I appreciate both of you trying, at least. Man.
I was almost there. 10%.
Yeah, sure.
Man. Cyril, Arnaud, thank you so much for rolling through.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Is there any last words you got about Dark Devotion before we sign you guys off?
Yeah, if you want to learn more about the game, we already released 3 dev diaries where the team explained how they did the production, about the art, about the universe of the game. So if you want to know more about the game, just check those out. It's super interesting.
Yeah.
And
you can wishlist the game on
Steam as well.
Steam.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's already there, and learn about there are a whole description on Steam, and we'll be giving some news about the game
Yeah,
soon.
stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good to me. Again, that's Dark Devotion coming out of Hibernian Studios over in France.
Yes.
So you can check that out if you're interested, if you're into those Souls-like games. So yeah, thank you for coming by.
Thank you.
We are going to transition to our 5th game of this live stream, so stay tuned. Don't go anywhere while we transition. See you in a minute.